I have been so lucky as to have had two of my dogs have subclinical pancreatitis and my cat, and she was diagnosed with pancreatitis all at the same time. If your pet is struggling with the discomfort of pancreatitis and other GI issues, I'm going to show you powerful, gentle acupressure points you can use to support healing and comfort right from home today, along with some optional intro animal communication guidance to enhance your acupressure. These points I have used with my clients and have recently needed to apply with my animals. Come on, all you doggies, won't you walk with me? I'm the puppet dog. I'm Angela Webb, the Animal Intuitive, owner of Intuitive Touch Animal Care and Animal Intuitive Academy. I'm nationally board certified in animal acupressure and massage, and I've been a professional animal communication instructor and licensed therapist, now specializing in hypnosis and brain spotting for over 20 years. I'm an animal communication children's book author and songwriter. I love helping animals and the people who love them feel more connected, as well as empowering pet parents like you to support their animals. Keep listening now for my special offers, and if you want to connect with me directly for animal communication consultations, pet wellness plans with animal communication, acupressure, and more, designed specifically for your pet so that you can support them physically, mentally, and emotionally at home or become the best animal communicator possible, please check out my website, intuitivetouchanimalcare.com, and link to my Animal Intuitive Academy site where you can take 10% off any of my digital classes and inspiring animal communication hypnosis products with code ANN, or just use the link in the description. Or get started with a free meditation on my website. That's intuitivetouchanimalcare.com. And don't forget my children's book, Misha's Heart Adventure, Emotional Regulation While Learning How Animals Think and Feel. And its accompanying album, Misha Songs, which can be found on most streaming sites and on my website. The book and album help children recognize and adults to reconnect with their innate ability to communicate with animals and learn from Misha how to deal with big feelings. 50% of your purchase of the book, which you can find on all major booksellers, including Amazon, are going to animal welfare organizations, currently the Warrior Dog Foundation, where our hero veteran dogs are rehabilitated, rescued, and prevented from being euthanized, all while helping animals to be reunited with their handlers through the Home with Handlers program. I just want to mention that acupressure is generally safe for use. However, it should never be a substitute for veterinary care. And since I am not a veterinarian, please consult with your veterinarian if your pet exhibits any signs of pancreatitis, such as vomiting, diarrhea, loss of appetite, lethargy, abdominal pain, or if you have any other concerns about your pet's health and well-being. Although, as mentioned, acupressure is very unlikely to cause harm if your pet has previously been diagnosed with pancreatitis, especially in the recent past, you may want to contact your veterinarian to ensure it's safe to use these points. Please use the timestamps if you want to skip to either the animal communication or the first Acupoint, but I do want to mention that animal acupressure is supercharged and better supported if you do some animal communication connection, and I like to guide you into that before we do acupressure, but you can skip right ahead to the acupressure points or the animal communication section. However, I do have a few things you might want to know about, especially if you're dealing with pancreatitis. So, pancreatitis is inflammation of the pancreas that can cause nausea, abdominal pain, vomiting, and digestive issues. It's very serious, and in traditional Chinese medicine, we support this condition by working with meridians that regulate digestion and fluid balance, especially the spleen and stomach channels. So there's no pancreas channel or meridian that we talk about. So we talk more about the stomach and the spleen. Acupressure, if you're unfamiliar with it, is a precursor to acupuncture in traditional Chinese medicine. Before the use of needles, early practitioners stimulated therapeutic points with their hands, stones, or tools. I have been so lucky as to have had two of my dogs have subclinical pancreatitis develop in May. So if you're watching this later, that's a few months ago. And my cat at the same time. They were all, and she was diagnosed with pancreatitis all at the same time. And one of my dogs at that time also had to have his spleen removed. So you see the connection, pancreatitis, spleen. So again, this is a serious condition, and we had to kind of stop everything, make some adjustments. I had to put them all on a low-fat diet, which I started cooking myself using a premix at home along with boiling protein protein-based foods. So I discovered that my top quality raw dog food, highly recommended by some well-known and respected holistic animal professionals, were no longer serving them because of their high fat content. And that's just something that had not been an issue before for my animals, and they are getting a little bit older. So that does perhaps come into play. But this is something to perhaps think about, maybe talk to your vet about. And, you know, I think raw feeding is great, it's biologically appropriate, but something to take into consideration is that a lot of the foods that are out there sold in the stores, which is I was doing, I was buying the pre-made, they are high in fat, very high in fat, some of them. So it's something just to maybe think about. So while this topic today is incorporating modalities like acupressure to support your pet during their healing, I did want to mention something that I needed to learn. So the fat content listed on the packaging of the dog or cat's food is not the same fat that you will likely need to pay attention to when you're thinking about a low-fat diet. You need a special calculation that's used to determine the actual fat content that I'm going to put up here on the screen. And you can take a look at it. You can find it on the internet anywhere. I'm just going to flash it up here so you can look at it. I'm not going to sit here and do math with you. That's not really my forte. And in fact, every time I went to the store while we were like waiting for some of this premix to show up and we were deciding what premix to buy to do home cooking, I kept calling my husband and saying, like, is this low enough? Is this low enough? I'm trying to do this math on my phone and getting really confused in the store here. And just like nothing was low enough. So enough is said about that. Just something I wanted to mention because I just don't think people are aware that the crude fat listed on the packaging is really the fat content that you need to know about. So please keep in mind that the pancreas in Eastern medicine relates again to the control of digestion. So it incorporates the spleen and stomach meridians and acupressure points. So while the pancreas is not named as a separate organ in classical traditional Chinese medicine, it is primarily attributed to the spleen and to a lesser extent to the stomach meridian. In a modern integrative approach, many practitioners acknowledge the pancreas under that umbrella of spleen function, particularly in relation to digestion and also blood sugar regulation. This includes many of the roles the pancreas plays in Western physiology, like secreting digestive enzymes and regulating blood sugar. Stomach and spleen are part of the earth element. That's just a little aside. If you're interested in the elements, I have videos on those, but just briefly mentioning that they're part of the earth element. And the spleen and stomach are paired together in this 5-element system. They represent the center of the body's energy system, responsible for digestion, nourishment, and stability. The emotional link would be worrying, overthinking, and rumination. And these are said to injure the spleen or pancreas energy. So if you've ever watched my channel or taken my classes or been a private client of mine, you know what I'm going to say before we go into doing some acupressure. It's very helpful when we approach our pets to do body work on them like acupressure, to do energetic work, which acupressure is, to first be grounded ourselves. So let's just do a really brief exercise. Like I said, you can skip to the points if you want, but this will help you get in that animal communication mode. So as you place your hand over your heart, and you might want to place your other hand over the lower part of your abdomen, under your belly button, just to help you notice your breath and how you're breathing. The idea is that we want to start breathing into the lower part of the body instead of having that chest breathing, as we call it. Take in a nice slow breath through the nose, breathing in slowly to the count of 5 or whatever number feels comfortable to you, and exhaling out through your mouth, perhaps a bit longer than your inhalation was. Doing that a few times. And in your mind's eye, I'd like you to picture your beloved pet that you're going to be working with. And feel in your heart the love that you have for that animal. Begin to visualize a beautiful white light that extends between you and your pet. And with each inhalation and exhalation, you begin to notice that the distance between you through that white light becomes less and less. You're moving closer and closer. And you notice that the energy between you is flowing through that white light gently as you inhale and exhale. There's a gentle flow of energy, that light. You begin to feel that there is no difference between the two of you in the sense that you can feel what they're feeling. You notice that your arm begins to feel like their arm, your leg like their leg, your other arm like their other arm, your other leg like their other leg. That energy is so easy and gentle. You begin to notice that any distance between the two of you is just so thin that you begin to feel, to know that you have the ability to feel what they're feeling. You know that you have this knowledge, that it's your inborn gift, that it's always been there. And you recall perhaps times when you've known what your animal's thinking and feeling without even having to try. You just knew. And even if you can't recall an exact time, it's likely that you know in your heart of hearts that you've known how they're feeling, what they needed, without having to look or observe. You just knew. And as we move into the next section of this video, and you're going to be doing some acupressure points, you notice that your energy becomes more and more grounded. You feel more steady, more centered. You notice the chair underneath you more, or the bed or the floor, your feet on the floor. You feel that contact. You just slow down. You know that you'll know what your pet needs intuitively as we move into the acupressure. You can trust the information that you're receiving from your pet. And they know that you're doing this because this is how animals communicate telepathically. And you may receive feelings in your body, you may just hear phrases in your mind that you know are coming from your pet, or just intuitive knowledge and wisdom. You may see things in your mind's eye in the form of pictures or videos. You may even get a sense of smelling things that your pet has smelled or is smelling or has tasted, and just how they're feeling. in their body or emotionally. That information is just there. You don't have to reach for it. You can just trust it to be there, as it has been all along. And as we come back into the space, you might want to pause the video and go approach your pet, or maybe you have your pet with you. And again, you may want to skip ahead, but I'm also going to give the exact way to find the exact locations using a measurement called Sun in traditional Chinese medicine. So through the video, when I do these points, I'm going to sort of help you, guide you there to the approximate location without using Sun. But Sun is the exact measurement. So I'm going to right now give you a video and explain what that is. If you would like to do that, some of you might just want to jump ahead and kind of just go into the manually finding it intuitively and that way. Sun, I'm going to demo for you now. To locate, we locate 3 Sun, okay? And then that helps us to figure out what 1 Sun is. So sometimes you're going to need 3 Sun, you might need 1 Sun, you might need 1.5 Sun for one of the points on here we're going to get to. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to find it. And when you're working with a larger animal and a smaller animal, it can be a little different. So the first one I'm going to show you is how to find it on a larger animal, how to find Sun on a larger animal, and then on a smaller animal, like a shorter legged dog or a kitty cat. So we're using this as a measurement. The way we're going to do this, you can see in the video, this is my dog Cheyenne, and we are going to be looking from the elbow crease to the wrist. Okay, and we're going to be dividing that in half, as you see in the video, and then dividing that in half. And that number that you have from that half point to the wrist is 3 Sun. So if you need 1 Sun, just divide that into thirds, and then that will be your 1. On a smaller animal with shorter legs, find the scapula of the animal, and from the distance from the top front edge of the scapula to the back of the scapula, that's 3 Sun. If the point you're looking for is 1 Sun, it's 1/3 of that measurement. Okay, so the first point that we're going to be finding is stomach 36, Zusanli, or leg 3 miles. Stomach 36 is actually one of the most extensively researched acupoints in scientific literature. There's studies exploring this point's effect on pain modulation, immune and gastrointestinal function, and metabolic regulation. So stomach 36 can be found by moving slightly below the knee, and you're going to move over towards the outer or lateral part of the leg, and then down until you feel a divot, which is adjacent to the outer edge of the tibia, otherwise known as the shin bone. So the more precise way to find that, if you are going to be using the Sun measurement, would be to find 3 Sun down from the bottom of the patella. So that would be the bottom of that knee cap, sort of, and 3 Sun down, and then move over laterally 1 finger width. And you're going to feel that divot adjacent to that tibia in the muscle. So locate 3 Sun below the knee, and then 1 finger breadth over until you feel the divot on the outside edge of the tibia or shin. And use your fingers to apply a light pressure, 30 to 60 seconds. So usually, this really depends on the positioning of how your animal's lying, or where you are with them, or just what's more comfortable for you. Sometimes we use the thumb, sometimes we use a pointer finger. Sometimes we'll do like a tenting, call it, where you put your middle finger over your pointer finger. Do what just kind of works intuitively. And you could do that for 30 to 60 seconds. per point. And for pets, just be gentle and watch for signs that that the energy has moved. So this would be things like licking, sighing, or relaxing. They may even just fall asleep or move away. If they do move away, this can indicate that the energy has shifted and they are done. Animals are very intuitive this way. However, it can also indicate that they're not enjoying the experience. And this again is why we need to be so present to the animals during acupressure. You can do this once or twice a day, and you can also do, say, 2 points in one day, and then the next day do 2 different points, and kind of going back and forth and just sort of exploring which ones your animal responds to, which ones you see are the most effective, where you see their energy shifts. I can see it with my pets where they'll yawn and they'll just kind of like melt when that point is that right point for them. And this also gives you time, if you switch it up, to see, to let that energy work, to let the energetic pathways shift and let that take hold. Acupressure is less about like forcing, it's more about allowing the body to take in that support and utilize it as it needs it, and simply allowing it to do its thing. So this is this little legend of leg 3 miles, stomach 36. It underscores how powerful this point is. In ancient China, it was said that travelers and soldiers who had to march long distances would stimulate stomach 36 to increase their stamina and combat fatigue. And the story is that many of them were very exhausted, these imperial soldiers, and they just could no longer walk, and they would press the point on their leg just below the knee and over, and after doing so, they found they could walk 3 more miles, hence the name leg 3 miles. Okay, so spleen 6 is our next point, Sanyinjiao, and this is called, in English translated, 3 yin crossing, and it refers to the meeting point of the 3 yin meridians of the leg, the spleen, liver, and kidney meridians. And these are inside the lower leg. And this helps to harmonize the digestive organs. Just please avoid this point in pregnancy. And this point is located 3 soon above the medial malleolus, or the inner ankle bone. You go up 3 soon, and then you're going to fall back. And you're going to feel it kind of go into a divot there. So that would be on the back of the tibia. So you go 3 soon up from the inner ankle bone or medial malleolus, and then once you're there, you're going to kind of fall back onto the back border of the tibia. Okay, so conception vessel 12. Conception vessel 12, or CV12, is known in Chinese as Zhengwan, and in English that would be central venter. And this point is in the mid-abdomen, and we're going to use something called Mo Fa from Tue Na, which is a type of traditional Chinese medicine acupressure massage. So we're going to be using sort of like very gentle circular motions with the middle finger. And we're going to be rubbing sort of the surface of the skin, and it's going to help dispel stagnation in the stomach and spleen. And this one is located right between, almost exactly, the navel and the base of the sternum. And it's fantastic for easing nausea and supporting the stomach and pancreas. So I'm going to do what is called Mo Fa, which is that two enough technique in this video you can see, and very gently doing this. My cat Gracie actually loves this point as well, but we didn't think we could get her to hold still for the video. And Cheyenne loves it too, but she was getting a little anxious with all the recording we were doing at the end, so she's kind of panting. Okay, so the next point is bladder 21, Weishu. And this is also, in English, we would call this approval of the stomach. I wanted to jump in here and just mention that the bladder meridian, and meridians are energetic pathways in the body in traditional Chinese medicine, it runs along the back. It's actually the longest meridian in the body, and it touches energetic points for major organs. It's often a go-to meridian, and it connects with and influences all the other organs through what are called back shu points. These are points along the spine. They relate directly to each internal organ, like the stomach, and in a moment we'll talk about spleen. And it helps to balance and move out toxins, stress, excess energy, and it's also tied to the nervous system and
autonomic regulation, which makes it important for calming and rebalancing the body. You do see here in this image also the kidney meridian. That's because in traditional Chinese medicine, each organ meridian has a sister meridian. One is yin, more nourishing and inward, that's the kidney in this case, and then the other is yang, more active and outward. And these paired meridians work together to keep the body's energy balanced.
And this point is on the back. This is along the spine and helps to nourish the digestive organs from the inside out. And you're going to see me locate the base here of the thoracic vertebrae. So you can find that by using a chart or just by feeling where the bottom of the back of the ribs are in the area near where they connect to the spine on the back, and gently slide up to find that final thoracic vertebrae, not pushing hard, of course, just feeling for that vertebrae, which is thoracic 13 or T13 on a cat or dog. Humans typically just have 12. But you're going to be feeling for the back border of that vertebrae and then come out using the Soon measurement of 1.5 Soon. And if you didn't do the Soon learning section, come out slightly until you feel a dip and you will be in the general area of the bladder meridian and that point. And the nice thing about traditional Chinese medicine and acupressure is if you massage this area sort of in a gentle circular motion, or you can press gently, you're still going to be influencing the meridians because it's so close. Everything is connected energetically, especially in a small area like this, especially with animals, especially animals that are smaller. And I also want to mention that bladder 20, this is also a wonderful point to use when your animal is having issues with stomach issues. You don't kind of know exactly maybe what's going on, but you want to just support that general part of the body, or specifically if they are having problems with the spleen. At this point, it's 1 vertebrae up and then 1.5 Soon out, or you can just do what you did for bladder 21 and you will be in that general area on the bladder meridian. And if you found this video helpful, please help give the video a like, share it with someone who loves their animals, and please subscribe. And we have so many people who are watching the channel who are not subscribed, and we really need to kind of boost the algorithm and help us out here, because I just hit 2,000 and it's taken a few years to do that. This is an educational channel, and sometimes I gotta just ask because it's slow going. It's not something that moves along YouTube, even though this information I think could be it is really beneficial for animals. I really appreciate you becoming a subscriber and liking and sharing. So until next time, please give your pet some love from me, and God bless.
Rub my belly, rub my belly, rub my belly, my belly, my belly, rub my belly, rub my belly, rub my belly, my belly, my belly. I like my ears rubbed.